Hello Big Finish fans, and welcome to my review of the first release of the Early Adventures Domain of the Voord. So before I go on to my thoughts on this story, let's look at the cover of Domain of the Voord. So for the artwork we have Ian Chesterton there, then we have one of the submersibles, I think one of the Voord sort of things, then we have the first Doctor there, then we have the City of Hydra, then we have Susan, then we have Nebrin, one of the Voords, and then we have Tarlak, a Voord overlord. Then we have the 50th anniversary Doctor Who logo, William Russell and Caroline Ford in Domain of the Voord by Andrew Smith. Then we have the Hartnell icon there, Big Finish, the early adventures, the audio adventures of Doctor Who. Now the spine, Domain of the Voord for me has a different spine. It's sort of a blue colour instead of the standard black. Because I've just compared it with, the Doctor's Tale and Bounty of Sirius. Is that Domain of the Voord spine's different, which is weird. If any of you guys know, or if it's the same with everyone's, just let me know, because it's kind of intriguing. So there we have the William Hartnell over there, Doctor Who Domain of the Voord, and then we have 1.1 because it's the first one. So at the top we have Domain of the Voord, written by Andrew Smith, and then we have directed by Ken Bentley. If I can just move the glare. Do feel free to pause to know more about the story. Then we have running time 120 minutes, and we have the cast members there. Then for the background we have the Hartnell Vortex. So that's basically the way this cover, well, the CD is presented. Now let's look at the booklet, and then the discs, and then my thoughts on Domain of the Voord. So here is the booklet. So if we open it up, we have production notes, then we have pictures of the two sort of main people in the story, William Russell and Caroline Ford. Then we have writer's notes by Andrew Smith, then we have a picture of the cover, advertisement for Doctor Who magazine, then we have other cast members and some of the production side people, and then we have producer's notes, and then we have Get More Big Finish credits, and then we have the reversible Big Finish cover, so you can have it in the 1960s logo with sort of a 60s vibe to it, but I generally like to keep it to this because I do like the 50th anniversary logo. So that's basically that. Now let's look at the discs, and okay, so disc 1 we have The Floating City, part 2 Return to Terror, and the disc artwork is exactly the same as the cover. Then for part 3 we have Behind the Mask, and part 4 The Fight Back. Now that's what I really do like about the early adventures, is that they have each episode has a different title to sort of reflect, as in the first couple of years, well, the first 60 stories had different titles right up until The Savages, I think, where it just remained one title. Then we have advertisements for the companion chronicles of the Hartnell Vortex there. So that's the way this CD is presented. Now let's go on to my thoughts on Domain of the Voord. What a fantastic opening story for the early adventures. Part 1 throws you straight into the action, with ships exploding, Voord attacking, and Ian getting in a great fight sequence. Part 2 is a lot slower in pace, but it doesn't drag that much, and I feel like the story needs that sort of time for you as a listener to reflect, and the characters to reflect on the events, what has happened in the first part. And I have to say, part 2 isn't a complete waste of your time because it reveals a little bit about the Voord's past, but it is more explored in part 3, which reveals some dark secrets about the Voord and a thing called the initiation test, which when you find out will make your skin crawl. Now my criticism for this story, and it's going to be a performance thing, criticism, whatever, and that is for Caroline Ford. And now she does a great job as Susan, but when it comes to Barbara, there isn't any difference with her voice. Thankfully, the narration does help distinguish a little bit with whether Barbara or Susan is speaking. Now, William Russell, this is a positive now, does a fantastic job as Ian, and gets some great old Ian sort of fight sequence moments in this sort of heroic moment, and does quite a good job of William Hartnell. Conclusion. Domain of the Voord is a cracking start to the Early Adventures series, and is a great sequel to the Keys of Marinus. Now I'm not a huge fan of the Keys of Marinus, so this story is just great to hear more about the Voord. Obviously the Voord have had quite a big comic life, but it's nice to see them. I think this is our first audio appearance, and if so, it's great to have the Voord return and us learn about their history, and of course it being expanded, and us learning about things such as the harvest and the initiation test, and about their hierarchy and the little references to the Voords in the Keys of Marinus, just to link up the two Voord stories nicely, and it's great. The cliffhangers are superb, especially episode 1, and that is definitely one of the strongest cliffhangers I've heard. A standout performance, I've said, is William Russell, and the music. The music really does give it this really 1960s feel to it, with these sort of brass musical instruments playing, which really does give this sort of 60s feel to it, and this sort of over dramatic state to the story, and it's a great story. I really do like Domain of the Voord, so I'm going to rate this story you know, a 9, well not 9, I'm going to go 8 out of 10 Voord. Great to have the return of the Voord, especially learning about this chap, one of the Voord overlord called Tarlak. Brilliant story, fantastic opening to the early adventures, highly recommend it, and yeah, I look forward to listening to the rest of the series. So for now, take care, stay awesome, because you're all brilliant people, and I'll see you in my next review, whatever that will be. So for now, goodbye.